Hey guys, welcome back to another video of Top 10 Facts channel. In this video we're gonna talk about the most dangerous sports in the world. Sports can be about getting fit and being healthy, or they can be about competitiveness. But oftentimes, and probably more often than people would like to admit it, searching out the adrenaline you get from the most extreme and dangerous activities and pushing yourself to your absolute mental and physical limit. So, what is the most dangerous sport in the world? Well, that can be hard to quantify depending on what metrics you're looking to use to decide what the most dangerous sport is. You can get a freak injury playing nearly any sport, from a cleat to the ankle in European football to getting your fingers caught between two bowling balls. While those can be very painful, they're not exactly injuries that imply that bowling or European football are among the most dangerous sports out there. So here's top 10 most dangerous sports in the world. Number 10. Boxing. They call it the sweet science, but there's really nothing sweet about it. Two athletes enter the ring and they're wailing on each other with their fists for 12 3-minute rounds. Unless one fighter is so badly beat up that they can't continue. While some say that the gloves boxers are forced to wear to minimize impact, it's actually the opposite, as the added weight on the fists of the boxers means their shots are even heavier than they otherwise might be. There have been over 1,500 boxing-related deaths since they first began reporting them in the late 1880s. And most other sports would have a hard time measuring up to the numbers boxing puts up in that regard. Just in the last decade, there have been at least 20 reported deaths due to injuries sustained in the ring, which means it definitely remains one of the most dangerous sports out there. Number 9. Wingsuit Flying. Have you ever heard of or seen one of those flying squirrels? They can't fly, but they can glide around all they like thanks to the semi-wings they have between their arms and legs. That's basically what you're doing in a wingsuit. You're jumping off a cliff or out of a plane with just your wingsuit, which will allow you to glide and gain more lift. The wingsuit allows you to have longer flights with more distance, which is why a lot of skydivers and base jumpers have become wingsuit jumpers in recent years. Flying as close as you can to a mountainside or cliff can sometimes have deadly consequences. However, as evidenced by the 170 plus wingsuit jumpers deaths recorded since 2002. Number 8. High altitude mountaineering. The word mountaineering might make you think of a little hike up the local mountain or hill with a nice packed lunch, but that's not the kind of mountaineering we're talking about here. This is serious mountain climbing, as the mountain climbing people do on the skyscraping peaks of the Himalayas. In fact, you actually have a 10% chance of dying in your attempt to summit the highest peaks of the famous Himalayan mountain range, including nearly 300 who have died trying to climb Mount Everest alone. There's all sorts of things out to get you on a trek of the Himalayas, including avalanches, crevasses, falls, and frostbite. But it's really the lack of oxygen at altitudes that humans really aren't supposed to be at that makes this arguably the most dangerous sport known to mankind. Number 7. NASCAR and auto racing. Driving around the circuit with sharp turns in a car that can weigh from 1,800 pounds in Formula 1 to 3,300 pounds in NASCAR, going speeds higher than 150 miles per hour sounds like a surefire way of doing yourself in. But you'd be surprised to know that there have only been 40 on-track deaths in the last 2 decades. Massive impact, huge G-force, and fiery explosions are all somewhat commonplace when watching auto racing in action. While NASCAR and F1 have both improved their safety measurements immensely in recent years, they've also improved their car performance, which means that while there are more safety features, the cars continue to go faster and faster, which increases the danger and makes it the top contender for the most dangerous sport in the world. Number 6. Motocross, motorbike racing. If auto racing is a dangerous sport, it goes without saying that it's not a cuisine. Motorbike racing is just as dangerous as, if not more so. Motorbike racing sees these guys going 120 miles per hour with nothing but a leather suit on to protect them should there be a crash. Then there's the off-road mountain biking motocross competitions that people see riding their bikes through rough natural terrain, with bumps and roots and all sorts of other obstacles just waiting to send you flying from your ride, stumbling down the hill and into a hospital bed. It doesn't get much more dangerous than riding a motocross bike full speed down a mountain course that's less than groomed. Number 5. MMA. The nasty, violent cousin of boxing. Mixed martial arts combines the danger of a wide range of different martial arts disciplines to create arguably the most brutal combat sport and therefore one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Apart from headbutting, eye gouging and groin shots, there's not much that's off limits in the octagon, as athletes can throw everything from knees to elbows to kicks to punches at each other to get the victory. There have only been 7 recorded deaths from sanctioned MMA bouts and 9 from unregulated bouts, so the numbers aren't as high as for boxing. But there is no arguing that when you get kicks, flying knees and spinning elbows involved in a fight, that fight becomes a lot more dangerous indeed. Number 4. Whitewater rafting. Whitewater rafting might just sound like a fun ride at the water park or a leisurely day on the water with the family, but that couldn't be further from the truth. There's a reason whitewater rafting is something adrenaline junkies love to do, because depending on the river or rapids you're rafting on is a very high risk proposition that could result a broken bone or worse. When you talk about whitewater, you're talking about the water that's moving very fast through rough terrain, which means your raft could very well smash into some jagged rocks or even be punctured by them. Drying in the current or banging your head against one of the many deadly obstacles in the rapids are a couple of the main reasons why is this one of the most dangerous sports. Number 3. Rugby. Perhaps the only team sport more dangerous than American football is rugby, which is somewhat similar to football, through one of the major differences is that while American football players have a ton of padding to protect themselves, rugby players play in nothing but their uniform. It's just 13 players on each team going to town and smashing into one another for the whole game, no headgear, no nothing. Since 2008, there have been at least 12 deaths in rugby union, though the number could conceivably be much higher than that. Number 2. American football. In terms of mainstream team sports, it doesn't get much more dangerous than a contact sport like American football, despite the fact that the NFL is trying to legislate violence out of the game. The violence is what makes American football what it is. And even apart from the brain issues that have been seen in many former NFL players later on their lives, there have been some scary moments on the field too. Concussions are very commonplace, but there have also been many injuries related to the neck and spine that have left some players paralyzed. Other spinal injuries, like the one Ryan Shazier suffered a few years ago, are so severe that the player can never play a football again. Number 1. Street luging. This is a sport that's just as popular for recreation as it is for competition. Street luging consists of lying on your back on a wheelboard, also called a sled, and riding down a steep course. The sport was created by skateboarders who realized they were more aerodynamic when they laid down on their boards, thereby allowing them to go much faster. Street luge has been described as sledding at 90 miles per hour, and the world record for speed for an unassisted street luge is 101 miles per hour, set by Damian Andrew in 2017. Street lugers are decked out in leather outfits and motorcycle helmets, and while deaths are rare, they have happened, and gruesome injuries too. It's to be expected when you're zipping down a steep circuit with sharp turns on a board that doesn't come equipped with brakes. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that notification button. See you on the next videos.